All right. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
I think one of the best things I did was, it was like last year or something like that, I came across a copy in a free box. It was in like some gift shop or something, and I sent it to a punk rock friend of mine who I went to college with. And because he's open to just about everything. He'll listen to punk, he'll listen to hip-hop, and he ended up really digging it. I was like,
Sure.
yes, I'm turning
Nice.
other people onto it. Yeah.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So when did you become interested in playing drums?
Oh, you mentioned your friend. I mean, that's the age that I grew up. I grew up listening rather than the standard '80s type stuff. I was getting introduced to the late '70s. Ramones, Sex Pistols. Crossover into early punk. Minor Threat and
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. So that was kind of my background. So that in high school, that's the kind of bands we put together.
Nice.
It turned from punk into hardcore and a crossover into speed metal and then blah 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 blah. So
nice.
That's me personally. That's my background.
Cool.
You hear just the opposite with the other guys who.
But I can hear it in your drumming now that you mention it.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm always trying to be sensitive to the music that we were playing, whether it was more jangly kind of REM-ish, toe the wet sprocket type of stuff, where me just keeping rhythm was a lot more important than, hey, let me see how many times I can play different fills and every little open little place that you can in music.
But I've always thought that Superstar and Long Live the King were you guys like hardcore punk songs.
Yeah, well, that's when I got to have a little fun.
Yeah, that's obvious. When did you initially come to join For Squirrels?
Well, when I was coming out of high school, and I decided that I didn't want to work in a warehouse driving a forklift. This was before I went to Gainesville. I sold my mega drum kit that had 2 bass drums, 8 toms, 15 cymbals, and I decided that, hey, I got to give that up because I need to study, and I met my soon-to-be wife, who happened to work right next to a record store, and that record store was Yesterday and Today.
Cool. And
Yesterday and Today, there was this young gentleman by the name of Jack Griego who worked there. And my wife had befriended the owner, Scott Moody, who was the manager of the store, and she talked to Jack, and they just happened to be looking for a new drummer because her drummer quit. Mm-hmm. Well, my husband, we were married by then, plays drums. So one thing led to another, and I had a vintage 60s Slingerland kit that I still held on to, and one thing led to another, and I joined the band. Oddly enough, the owner of Yesterday and Today ended up managing us.
Cool.
So Rich Uloa owned Yesterday and Today in Miami, and then opened one in Gainesville. So it was very kind of weird circle of events that led us to where we ended up being.
What was the music scene in Gainesville like at the time?
Oh, are you kidding me? It was fantastic. We had Bill Bryson was really the innovator, and even today, he's really the godfather of the Gainesville music scene. Matter of fact, recently he just purchased the Florida Theater and is now booking medium to larger shows. He used to own the Covered Dish, which was the place to play in Gainesville. We were all devastated when it closed, but the bands that came through there Green Day and 5/8 from Atlanta and the Descendants, and there was just such a mixture of music. Les and Jake got their start there.
Mm-hmm.
All the Gainesville bands would obviously play there. It was just a really awesome time.
How did you guys come to record Baypath?
Well, Baypath, the guys probably already had most of that put together before I joined the band.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of they gave me a demo cassette, and that was kind of, here, this is what we're playing. So I kind of memorized all that, put my own drums to it, and things like that. I think we wrote a couple other tunes together.
Was Van Gogh one of those?
Van Gogh was one of those.
I love that song.
Yeah, that was a really late ad. That was kind of a, hey, we needed an extra song, and they just kind of put it together. And, Bill White was, an amazing musician and a songwriter, and as was Travis.
I think that song's just beautiful.
Yeah. And so those guys really pulled, some money together. I think it was $1,500 to be able to do that. We did it at a local recording a studio, and I don't even remember the name of it. And we just did it. We pressed, I think, 1,000 of those. And then at some point when we started getting label interest, and even when we got signed to a label, they took that and took a couple songs off that. I think they did a couple demo, CDs, with a couple songs or something like that on. Didn't have the whole record. But yeah, that was totally self-funded.
When did the label start coming around?
Man, now you're pushing me. I'd actually have to look at my own bio information to figure that out. I really couldn't give you a date.
Okay.
It happened fairly quickly. We went down to played a lot at the time down in Miami, and Rich Uloa contacted some of the folks in the industry to have them come by and see a show, and one thing led to another. We went up to New York and did a couple showcases, and finally got Sony 550's interest. I think during that time we actually played in front of Clive up there.
Wow.
That was a weird experience. They set up a show inside of basically an empty room in a building full of studios, and it literally, we were standing there waiting on stage, waiting for it to happen. He walks in, and here we go, 1, 2, 3, right into the music.
Wow.
Played 2 songs, and he walked out the door. So apparently we didn't impress him.
How did you guys come? What was it like signing with Sony? How do you feel about that now?
The industry is an eat you up and spit you out,
Yep.
type of industry, and I don't think it'll ever get beyond that. Nowadays it's certainly a little different than because of the social aspect of music and being able to distribute music digitally and things like that. It's certainly a lot different than back then, which it was heavily marketed,
Yeah.
It was hard merchandise, and so it's a completely different. I wouldn't be able to even. I'd have to go through an education seminar on how it is now compared to then.
What were the sessions, for example, like?
Oh, that was awesome. We recorded that in Compass Point in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
That was an amazing time. We were hooked up with producer Nick Lene,
Mm-hmm.
who has an extensive resume, and we got along really, really well. And the place that we were staying was really, it was like a villa in the Bahamas that
Wow.
happened to have an outbuilding that was a recording studio. So you wake up, you go to the beach, you go to the pool, you make it to the studio whenever that call time was, and everybody would put down the basic tracks, and then do the solos and the special effects, and if they need to redo the drum track, they'd redo the drum track. So that was a lot of fun. And then we mastered it. I don't remember the place where we mastered it. It was in South Beach.
Criteria?
Yes, Criteria.
You can tell I've read the liner notes a lot of times.
So we mastered it there. We actually, at the end of Superstar, when Travis breaks the guitar.
That's what it is. I could
actually
never figure out what he was doing.
We actually did it there when we were mastering.
Huh.
And if you hear at the very end of that, when he's breaking a guitar, it sounds like a little toy guitar. And that's exactly what it was. We had this little guitar that had two settings, and it had clean and it had distortion. So if you hear right towards the end there where it's really faint and they fade it off fairly quickly, after he breaks his guitar, you can hear that little distorted toy guitar. It's kind of cool.
I always thought it was like somebody throwing a can up against the wall.
I can tell you it wasn't a decent guitar. It was whatever was up at the pawn shop for like $40.
Did you guys pick like Nick, or was he just selected by the label?
Well, the label came with their suggestions of producers, and initially, our management got to chime in on that, and it got down to a short list, and then we narrowed it down to a couple and had a conversation with him, and he had, I think, the personality that I think worked best with us.
Gotcha. What was the inspiration for songs like Superstar, 802, and of course, like Mighty KC?
Well, Mighty KC is pretty straightforward. I mean, we actually put that together the week that Kurt committed suicide, and that's
that song is still haunting to this day.
Yeah, and it's funny. That song. It was fun to play until it was just overdone. But the weirdest thing was, I remember watching some kind of, probably an NBA basketball on TV, and all of a sudden, when they cut for a timeout and you can hear a song in the background, and I heard it there, I was like, holy crap.
Wow.
Yeah. 802, was just, that came from Bill.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of his, energy.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun to make, and Superstar, that was kind of Travis's baby.
Okay.
So they would come with riffs and ideas and things like that, and then I would put the framework of a beat to it, and then Bill, being more of a conductor bass, would really work out the framework of the song, where the bridges need to be, and things of that nature. So that we worked pretty well together.
I was just going back this morning after we set up this interview and was listening to the example. It's the most haunting thing is very end of Long Live the King is when he's screaming "I love you" at the top of his lungs.
Mm-hmm.
That's still creepy.
That is Jack's ode to his father.
Oh, wow.
So they had a very unique relationship.
Cool. Was it difficult for you and Travis after the crash?
Oh, sure. I mean, you had a lot of survivor's remorse.
Oh, man.
particularly, you know, more certainly from him because of how long him and those guys have been together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he wasn't unconscious after.
Oh my God!
Because I mean, he had an elbow injury. You know, I was unconscious. I was being life flighted out of there,
Wow.
and so I didn't get to see, you know, the
Yeah.
carnage.
Yeah.
So
Probably better.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably so.
Yeah.
So, but that was certainly was a really tough time.
At what point did you and Travis decide to just carry on and pick up Andy?
That happened really quickly, actually, because well, the idea of carrying on, because you know we had worked so hard to get the record almost to release when that happened.
Yeah, you guys hadn't even shot a video yet.
No.
Yeah.
And then we had, you know, we were like, can't let our friends die.
Exactly.
In vain, you know.
Yeah.
And that's really the only reason that we continued on as For Squirrels.
Okay.
And once it went as far as we could take it, you know, we immediately changed the name because that was we weren't that anymore.
Yeah. What was quote unquote success like? Was it bittersweet hearing Mighty Casey on the radio?
You know, it's a blur. It really is,
Mm-hmm.
because anytime you're in the middle of something like that, and I wouldn't call it success. We had a moderate level of interest.
That's why I put in quotation marks.
Yeah, because you know, I can't imagine what the other, you know, groups do when they really have success, because the amount of press that we were doing in radio and you know, calling in and talking, interviewing with publications, it was insane. And if you look at what we were doing, it was on a very, very modest level.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine what these other guys do, because you'd be in a van, then a bus, and you would wake up in the morning to do morning radio, then you would have to get on the phone with different publications to do pressers for upcoming shows that are 3 weeks out, and then you drive into wherever you are. You know, it's really, you know, like the Spinal Tap, where you're looking inside your jacket and welcome to Cleveland type of thing.
Were they asking a lot about the crash?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, God.
It was the same questions. You know, how did you feel? What are you feeling? Why do you want to keep going? And, you know, what's the label saying? And blah, blah,
And that
blah,
probably
blah.
just added to the anger.
It certainly didn't let you get past it really quickly.
Yeah. Wow. Were there any challenges when you guys finally hit the road?
Challenges, you know, just your day-to-day challenges, dealing with that stuff on a daily basis. You know,
Gotcha.
all we wanted to do is play music.
Mm-hmm.
What we wanted to do is try to honor our friends.
Yeah.
So
it's still hard for me to watch the Mighty KC video.
Yeah, it wears on you for sure.
Yeah. At what point did you guys decide to change the name?
I think once we saw that, or we had enough material, you know, to start looking at doing another record, and we knew that we couldn't do it under the old name. And
yeah.
Obviously the label wasn't that happy about it, because you know,
I've heard,
even though they marketed it as formally For Squirrels and put that on the CDs and things of that nature, and every time you'd roll in somewhere, you'd see the name of the band with, you know, in parentheses, formerly For Squirrels.
Oh God.
So that was a little tough.
I remember reading an article when the record came out that the label put like 10,000, the first like 10,000 copies had the formerly For Squirrels sticker on it. I have one of those copies.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, this must have been one of the early copies.
Yeah, that's funny.
What was it like making Never Bet the Devil?
Oh man, that was a blast too. Again, because we were.
I've seen the press kit. It looks like you guys were having some fun.
We had a ball. You know, we went to the studio, which is unfortunately now closed.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that was just an amazing place. My wife and I conceived our first son there.
Yeah, you guys are definitely having fun up there.
It was snowy. The lake was covered in ice. You know, we built, as Florida boys, we built an igloo out behind a house with a 5-gallon bucket. So you know, we certainly had fun, but you know, at the same time, you know, work is work. So
yeah.
You know, it was a great location, great vibe, great fantastic studio, and had an awesome time.
Was Pretend just done in one take? Travis's vocals.
Yes.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I can't tell you if it was a first take, but that's how we approached it. It was always going to be a single take.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody would have been able to do that more than once.
I think he had to stop a couple times because he couldn't get through it.
I can imagine.
Before the take that we ended up with.
If you can hear him like sniveling his nose at the beginning of the track.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Was there any pressure from the label at this point? Were they happy with the material?
You know, they were. It depended on who you talked to.
Gotcha.
You know, because there were the stalwarts who thought we should always keep the same sound and not change the name of the band, and then we had others in our camp who really liked the new stuff. Then you had others who were like, no, this sounds too grungy. This sounds too much like too derivative of you know, the Seattle scene. But that always kind of made us laugh a little bit. You want us to be derivative of an REM, but you know, you're yelling at us being derivative of somebody else. You know, even though we saw a little bit of derivation there, but not I think what the perception was.
What was the fan reaction like when the record came out?
About like you'd expect. You know, anytime you're putting formerly For Squirrels on, they come out to a show. We play mostly the new stuff. Obviously we'll play Mighty KC, and you know that ain't Jack singing up there. You know, Travis, you know, has a different voice with a different range. You know, not as clean a voice, even though you know we're telling him, hey, look, try to, you know, we want it to sound as much like the record as we can, but you know, it's a completely different thing. Even you know what I mean. So
somebody who's like fallen in love with Jack's voice, and then they go to hear the new record, like whoa. Yeah,
they're coming. You know, because I can tell you, 802 sounds a lot different when we play it as Subrosa than we did, you know,
I bet.
For Squirrels.
Probably a little angrier.
Yeah.
What was it like adding Mike to the lineup?
Pretty easy. I mean, those you know, those guys were all childhood friends.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, they grew up together. These weren't strangers we were bringing in, and Mike, you know, even today we stay in communication. We don't talk every day or anything like that, but certainly Facebook and Twitter and things like that. We were able to kind of still keep together. Mike brought us what he did, because if you think about it, there was many layers in what we were doing, meaning two guitars, a bass, sometimes keyboard and things like that. Mike was able to step right in and play rhythm guitar add a little extra distortion on some of the harder songs, be able to do the keyboard when Travis was he was free free just to sing or to play guitar and sing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave us it helped us fill out the live sound, which is what that record was all about. It was able we wanted to be able to duplicate it live.
Okay. What was it like touring with Creed?
That was they were early on, so
yeah.
They hadn't hit their the egos weren't there.
Were they opening?
It was weird because that you had two different trajectories there. When we started with those guys, we were in a bus, they were in a van.
Wow.
And then we finished a tour and went back out, and then they were in a bus and we were in a van.
Wow.
So it went from us headlining to us opening.
Wow.
And that that happens, but those guys, for a while they were cool.
Okay.
And then, but I don't know if stardom got to them or they started getting sick of it, as you're likely to do when you're touring like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely a path of two different trajectories.
What ultimately caused your departure?
It was just time for me.
Okay.
I had a 2-year-old. I had finished grad school
Wow.
because I was able to, I had just got accepted into grad school, so it was going to be hard for me to do what they wanted to do, and me to kind of get on with things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't. Again, we had gotten dropped by the label.
Okay.
Because of the lack of interest, and again, because of the timing of where the music scene was going, it was going into the boy bands.
Yep. And Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, exactly. So, we didn't. Quite honestly, I don't know if I could do that again, because that was a long journey to, go through getting
the ringer,
label's interest and playing out like crazy to reinvigorate a fan base. So at that time, I was like, guys, I gotta do what I gotta do.
I've heard, through message boards and everything, that the band recorded another record that Sony said no to. Is that true?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I know that we had been working on some songs, and it's conceivable that some of the demos were. We didn't. This was after I left.
Okay.
So not while I was with the band did we send something to our existing label and say, hey, are you guys interested?
How long after Never Bet the Devil was the band dropped? Before you left?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that was when I decided to depart. We were notified.
And I heard that there were, again, this was all stuff coming off the message boards and stuff, that there was a lawsuit and legal issues with Sony.
No.
Okay.
There was some legal issues, I think, between Travis and one of our old managers.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I don't know anything about that.
Gotcha. What are you and everyone else currently doing?
Well, I am living in Jacksonville, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 20-year-old son who did have a wonderful music career until he decided to change his major. He actually went through the whole art school program here and went
Okay.
got a scholarship to UCF as a percussionist.
Wow.
His specialty was marimba, but he's a percussionist.
Wow.
And if I had his talent, holy moly. And I think at some point he realized he wasn't gonna be able to go the symphony track, which really puts you more on the education track. And I think he saw the effort that would be needed as a band director and giving lessons and things like that. And he says, you know what, I'm going to go study to be a nurse. So he gave that up, and he's currently studying nursing. My youngest is 12, and he's the athlete that our 6'4", 200-pound, older son, who's he looks like a football player. My youngest is he's all football all the time. So that I spend my days and weeks just coaching football, flag football, tackle football. Daddy, take me out. I want to throw the ball every single day. Yeah. So I love it. And
are they familiar with the band?
I think they've heard the stuff. And for a while before we downsized and moved into another home, we used to have like a music room upstairs. So I have my acoustic kit. I bought my oldest when he was still in high school. I bought him an electronic kit because we couldn't handle the acoustic kit. I would have fun on it. I would, after they went to bed, I'd go up there and, plug some stuff in, whatever's on my iPhone and be able to hear it and play along with it.
Nice.
So, I got to play whatever I wanted to, and that's always a lot of fun. And currently I work for UF Health in Jacksonville.
Cool.
I'm a director of facilities of a hospital on the north side of Jacksonville.
Wow.
And so I was able to leverage my degrees, my architecture and master's in building construction, and got into healthcare construction. One thing led to another, and we just built an $85 million bed tower that we just opened in May.
Wow.
And, so that's I was given the opportunity to build the campus from the ground up. So
that's insane.
So that's what I do on a daily basis.
I checked out Travis's solo record that he put out about 10 years ago and loved it.
Oh, Artichoke?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that as well. He sent it to me. We were planning on a small reunion.
Really?
And we this was, I want to say, more than a year ago, and it just kind of fizzled out. I'd made a couple trips over to Gainesville, and we got together and played. And it just never worked out. It was just you have a lot of people with a lot of families and a lot of family time, and it seems like you can never get more than just a weekend, even though we were just kind of considering a small Florida, 3 or 4 day tour.
Wow.
Just for fun. So that didn't happen.
Yeah, I see he's still doing music. He finally updated his Facebook page.
Yeah, he's doing this Helix Glow project. I think they had a show over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd like to hear some new music.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either. I'd like to hear it as well.
Yeah, I know Andy was playing with Summer Phoenix's band, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he at the time he was kind of in that family. He had married somebody that was part of that extended family, and so he did that for a while. Right now, him and Mike are in this kind of it's a kids project. It's called Bears and Lions, and they've actually even been on NPR. They do they do kids shows and kids festivals and things like that, and it looks like a lot of fun.
Huh. Do you think there will ever be a chance where you guys will play together again?
I wouldn't discount it. There's a chance that
Cool.
That hey, we can make it happen, but I wouldn't think more than a 3 or 4 day Florida tour.
If I was a millionaire, I'd get you guys up here to Virginia.
Where in Virginia do you live?
I'm about an hour outside of Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
When my wife and I first moved from Gainesville, we moved up to Northern Virginia.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we lived in Ashburn, which is just near Reston.
Yeah.
Out past Dulles Airport, and that's where I started my construction career up there.
Nice. I went to college in Lynchburg.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about alternative rock and its impact in the 90s?
Oh, I really enjoy music just in general. Again, I always gravitate towards the little harder edge stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love a lot of the 90s stuff. It was a lot of fun. Are they derivative of each other? Maybe a little bit.
Who cares at this point?
Yeah, who cares? But I still enjoy it.
What do you ultimately hope For Squirrels' legacy will be?
I just hope people appreciate, the effort that we put into it, and I hope it doesn't sound like a lot of things. Like occasionally, my wife will put on Pandora. She'll put on For Squirrels radio.
Nice.
And it's it's always interesting to me the other songs that come up that you hear Dinosaur Jr., you hear Toad the Wet Sprocket, you hear REM obviously, and that's always kind of interesting. But you also hear Smashing Pumpkins and things like that. So I always get a little giggle out of that, I guess.
Yeah. Because I think I wrote a review of Example, and I was like, it goes from one extreme with like the REM melodies like Orange Worker to just the fury of Superstar.
Right.
But it all works.
Well, each song was its own chapter, or each group of songs.
Yeah.
And we did the same kind of thing to Never Bet the Devil Your Head. But that was I think more overt. Because you had the Never, and then you had the Bet the Devil, and then you had your head. There's 3 distinct songs.
And it's all very depressing and angry.
Well, yeah.
But you guys had fun making it.
Oh,
it wasn't all depressing.
No, we had a fantastic time. Very cathartic for us.
I bet it was. Was there a lot of destroyed instruments?
No, because at that point, I think Travis was able. He's had some really nice instruments. Very nice Rickenbackers. I had a very nice set of DW drums that I loved, and Andy. I mean, we couldn't. I mean, we would always have a prop, on stage for those type of nights.
I found in some old record store that's closing up in Norfolk a Sony promo VHS tape with like 25 music videos on there from 1997 for $1, and it had the Subrosa press kit on there. And because my computer used to be enhanced, so I could watch it all the time on my laptop with the old enhanced CD stuff. And there's footage in there of I think it's Travis lighting an amplifier on fire and just torching it.
Yeah.
Just ritualistically just destroying it.
Yeah. It wasn't one of his good amplifiers, I can assure you.
side question, were there any like outtakes or stuff that never got released? I have a song that I picked up off a message board called Critics Razor that's very angry and direct.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That was actually, I don't think it was a song that didn't make it on the record, because we were very detailed in what we wanted to be on the record.
Was that song about Rolling Stone?
That I don't remember. I think it was more just the critical nature of everything that we've gone through as far as critics talking about music that they didn't really quite get in our opinion. So that's what that song was.
Gotcha. I think I have shaken your head of everything that I could possibly think of.
Okay.
I'm glad that you were interested in doing this with me.
Well, I appreciate your enthusiasm and your
Thank
interest. Anything I can do to just again honor the guys and the boys in the band.
Because literally the only interviews I've seen with any of you guys, I saw one with Travis when his solo record came out, and then there was the 20th anniversary of the Crash, and there were a bunch of interviews done around then, but there hadn't been much.
Yeah, I did one here in Jacksonville for the Florida Times Union.
Yeah, I saw that. Fortunately, there's about like 20 other people besides me, and we go on the message board and we'll like post this stuff for everyone to see. I'm just glad that message board's still there.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you, Jack.
All right, how's your shoulder?
Shoulder's doing good. I was actually able to get it up to about 75 degrees today. So I'm doing a little bit.
I hate the rehab because when I had knee surgery, it was all about how many angles.
They were like measuring me with a compass and stuff. Like just like it was weird today. But hopefully we'll get my stitches out tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to go back to work soon. So I'm starting to get a little bored.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Yep. I've been sitting around for 2 weeks.
Yep. Not much
my stack of movies has gotten very, very low. I'm down to like a couple episodes of Soul Train. That's about it.
Well, nice.
Yep.
Good for you.
$60 box set at a thrift store for $4.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Well, my day has been made.
Well, I appreciate your interest, Pete.
Thank
you.
You.
It was really, really nice talking to you.
You too.
So
I can now cross your name off of my wish list.
Yeah. Please, let me know how I can get whatever you're putting together. I would be interested in the read.
I've been trying to reach out to Andy just to get Subrosa questions, but sent questions to him last summer, but haven't heard anything back from him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably any of us. It's probably easier for us to have a conversation rather than sit there and stamp something.
Because I bet some of the stuff is still difficult. Because you were probably wondering if I was going to ask like details about the crash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I know that's bound to come up that somebody wants to know like what happened that day.
Sure.
And I don't want to get like too gory or anything.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much to tell. It happened so quick.
Yeah. Ugh. I just can't imagine.
So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking time.
All right, Pete. I appreciate it. You have a good one.
You too, man. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Bye.